How you doing?
I'm alright. How you doing, Mike? I wanted to ask, I wanted to kind of give a sort of two-part question as well. My mother is sort of a meditation teacher, so I was kind of born into it, and I was a bit hyperactive as a kid, and I fucking hated it. Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And I still hate it so much, but I found...
You still hate meditation?
I don't like institutional meditation, the kind that has to be rigorously followed. But that's just because I was...
What type of meditation does your mother teach?
Mindfulness, mostly.
Mindfulness?
Mindfulness meditation, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't really hear you. So, okay, now, okay, what is your name?
Tahira.
Huh?
Tahira. T.
Hira?
Yeah, just say T.
Okay, now, Hira, you don't go, I know you love your mother, but you should say, Mom, I would like to try transcendental meditation.
Well, I wanted to ask.
And then it's not institutional, it's your own technique. You're taught how to do it by a legitimate teacher, and you will see the difference between mindfulness and transcending. And you will say, Mom, this is an incredible thing. This is an incredible experience. And it's gonna even, help your relationship with your mother, and even, you can still practice mindfulness if you want to. But add transcendental meditation to your life ASAP.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to ask mainly was how do we make meditation and happiness accessible when people don't actually have access to transcendental meditation as as a system that they can apply. There's people are severely disenfranchised by poverty and all this. They don't have the time to seek into these to kind of seek out these ways of meditating and introspection. How do you find that someone can really...
You just froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, you froze. Okay. That's why we formed the David Lynch Foundation, to give transcendental meditation to any human being who wanted it anywhere in the world. And, it costs money to learn, not so much, but with the David Lynch Foundation, you can get a scholarship and learn for less. And if you're really, impoverished, you can learn for free. So there is a David Lynch Foundation in Australia, and so people can get this technique and start going, seeing their life get better and better and better. So you could ask Harold how that could happen for friends who can't afford it and who want it, and they will get it to them.
Yeah. My second kind of part to the question.
Your third question.
This is going to be really brief. You mentioned that on the premiere of the Twin Peaks that came out this year, that you were going to move to work on a workbench. I wanted to ask how that went.
I was going to work on what?
Oh, like a bench or a coffee table?
A table.
Yeah, a table.
A table. It's all finished now.
Yeah.
When I finished Twin Peaks, I did an interview with a guy named Jeff for Entertainment Weekly, and I did a pencil drawing of the table, and then when I finished the table, several months later, I sent him a picture of the final one. So he put it in the magazine. I don't know if you can see it online, but yeah, I love the table. It was really fun to build.
That's really lovely. Thanks.
You got it.
Hi David, my name's Elijah. Just wanted to say thank you for your time really quickly. I just had two quick questions actually. Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a thing, isn't it? Just some of my favorite instances of your works have dealt with really dark and the dark elements and the depravity of the human experience. And I find myself in some of my films exploring similar things, and I get a bit caught up in the negative aspects of my characters, and I find it sometimes causes me pain. And I just wanted to know, when you're going to work every day, on films like Blue Velvet or Mulholland Drive or like the dark episodes of Twin Peaks, how you keep darkness at bay and have an objective approach to darkness using TM?
That's a good question. This is where transcendental meditation will save you. Stories always have dark and light, life and death situations, good and evil, all kinds of contrasts. That's what makes a good story. But and stories show a lot of suffering. But the artist doesn't have to suffer to show suffering. You can be very, very happy shooting a horrible death scene. And the happiness is inside, and you can't pretend it's there. It's either there or it isn't. If you transcend every day, that happiness inside will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you don't have to suffer to show suffering. You can tell these stories and be enthusiastic and be happy along the way telling them, and it saves you. And otherwise, you just fall down into the darkness, and you'll suffer.
Okay, thank you. And just really quickly, additionally to that, I know you're someone who is really hardline about immersion. You want people to be immersed in your worlds and have the best sound and the biggest picture and be in these really immersive environments. I wanted to know what your stance is on VR, on virtual reality becoming a storytelling tool, and whether that's something you'd consider making a creative work within that technology.
I think it could be really incredible. It's right in its infancy right now, so it's kind of more like a video game. It's not really so real. It's kind of cumbersome in a way. But one day, it could be that it's just like, real. And it could be very, 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 very powerful to tell a story in that world. It could be something.
Okay, well, I look forward to it. Thanks, David, so much.
Yeah.
Hi. I was just wondering, over your life and stuff, how is your, have you noticed that your creative process at all has, changed after you've had more experience or, learned different things? And is there anything that you've noticed that is different about the way that you approach ideas and stuff?
Yeah, well, not really. The process seems to be the same, that you get ideas that you fall in love with, and then you realize those ideas. I think what happens is you get more and more experience, so you kind of know what will work and what won't work. That changes. You get more, more of that, and I think it's, but it stays sort of the same. Maybe the enjoyment of it gets more because it seems like you understand it more, and it's not that it's easier, but it's just more enjoyable. You're not so filled with worry about things. It just gets more enjoyable.
And I was just wondering quickly, how do you get such good hair? It's really cool. I've always been an admirer.
How do you get such good what?
Hair. Your hair is really nice. And I've always been an admirer of it. How do you do that? Please tell me.
I don't know how it happens. I don't know.
Oh, it's cool. Thanks, bye.
Okay, see ya.
Hi David, it's hard to top the hair comment, but your foundation assisted me to learn TM about 3 years ago, and it's given me the most amazing source of peace in my life. So I wanted to thank you personally for the work you do through the foundation. My question is, there are lots of times in work or in life when we have to make critical decisions in a very short amount of time. How has TM helped you make critical decisions fast?
That's a real good question. There's, like they say, the prisons are filled with people that acted before they thought about their action that they were about to do. And and then it's too late. You make the wrong action. And so there's something they say about the cerebral cortex, or this front part of the brain. It's like that. It's a part of the brain that, for a lot of people with stress, kind of shuts down, and so it's more like the fight or flight kind of thing that takes over. And so when you meditate, when you transcend, they say the full brain is engaged. And the scientists have always told us that we only use 5 or 10% of our brain. And then here's an experience. Transcending is the only experience in life that utilizes the full brain. The whole brain is engaged. And it's a fantastic thing to think about. There's this field within that when experienced, the brain lights up. And then there's higher states of consciousness where the brain is always lit up. You know, not just in transcending. You're transcended all the time. The brain's lit up all the time. And then you make decisions that are, you know, really life-supporting and good. And you don't overreact and get yourself in trouble. You can still, you know, there's plenty of, you know, ways to get into trouble all the way till supreme enlightenment. But if you're really enlightened, there's no more ways to get in trouble. You're home free. But we have to be careful. But transcending is money in the bank for that.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, David.
Hi.
Hey. So my question is, for a lot of people here, they would probably see TM as helping them to unlock their creative potential and get their life on track. But for someone like you or John Lennon, who's like very successful and you're in France about to get a nice coffee, how has your sense of like a greater purpose changed or developed in relation to TM? And instead of just creating a good film, like what is your greater sense of purpose?
Peace on earth and goodwill toward men and women. It's like, I believe that Maharishi, he had two missions. One, the enlightenment of the individual, and two, peace on earth. And brought out technologies to do both. Transcendental meditation, if you practice it regularly, you'll unfold your full potential as a human being, which is enlightenment, total fulfillment, total liberation. A state they say is described as more than the most. Immortality. We're already immortal, but it gets busted up with this being born and dying and born and dying and born and dying. Our world is filled with problems, but Maharishi's established these peace-creating groups that enliven that field within so powerfully it can affect collective consciousness if these groups are big enough and on a permanent basis. So a thing that came into me was a desire to help get these groups bigger and on a permanent basis. And so this foundation is, you know, working toward that goal too. And so I love working in all these different mediums, but at the same time, I feel I should tell people about something that would make their life, you know, really so great. And tell them about something that can bring real peace to the world. Real peace is not just the absence of war. Real peace is the absence of all negativity. And it's totally possible. So that's what I'm interested in doing. That came along with you know, more meditation.
Cool,
But
thank you.
that's a good question.
That's it, David. Thank
And you look a lot like John Lennon yourself.
You could possibly be in this 4th season of Twin Peaks. I'm trying to help you. So thank you so much, David. You've been very generous with your time. We know it's early, and hopefully we'll be seeing more of you when we get a David Lynch Foundation set up in Australia here. So until then, thank you very much. From Australia.
Okay, all the best to all of you down under. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, take care, everybody.